Hi, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and today we're going to work on a bracelet to match a necklace and earring set that I have already made. No, unfortunately, I did not make a video for those items. However, the bracelet is going to use the same techniques that I used in the necklace, which is I'm going to wire wrap them in like rosary chain, so to speak. And I will put a photo of the necklace and earrings up before the video starts so you can see what they're going to match. But let's turn down and get started. Okay, the items we are going to need is some 20 gauge beadalon or German style wire in gold. Some of these little bead caps, these tiny cute little things, and some pearls and crystals so that they will match the necklace and earrings. Now here is the necklace. So you can see we have the pearl and then a crystal. And what we're going to do with this bracelet is we're going to put the big one like this in the center. However, instead of just having one, since it is going to be the center and will be the focal, it'll have a crystal on either side. Then we will wrap like this and go down to the next size, and then down to the next size again. And we will see how many of these links we need to put in before we will need to stop making the bracelet. Now, we need to pay attention to this as we go along, because we're going to start in the middle, because we're going to start in the middle, then go to one side to the next side, so that we can build the bracelet around. We don't want to just do one side and then go, oh gosh, that's way too long, and then we'd have to cut it off. We want to start with the middle focal, go to this, and then just go from one side to the other side, one side to the other side, until we get it the length we want. Now, if we get to a length where we say the next one will be too long, but the bracelet itself is too short still, then what we'll simply do is put some extender chain on to the underside so that we build it that way. But let's get started. The first thing we're going to need is to cut some wire. And we'll need a few pieces of wire. And this is a brand new spool, and I'm just going to cut it right here. Unless I can get it right here. I'm not sure. That seems to be buried. So we'll just cut it right off right here. Rather than try and straighten this piece out, I'm just going to cut it off. And then we'll just pull this little piece out of here. Now I'm thinking we probably want a series of 3-inch wires probably, because we don't need them to be extremely long, because we're just going to put a few beads in here. So let's see what 3 inches looks like. And yeah, I think 3 inches should be fine. We'll make the first one, see how it works. If 3 inches ends up being a little bit too short, we can undo this and make it bigger. And as you see, I just unspooled this, and that's not really surprising. So the first thing we want to do is to make the first wrap. And because we're going to have about this much wire of the beads in here, we want to make, about 1 inch here, and do a bend. And now I tend to use my stepped bell making pliers to make my loops. Most people use a round nose pliers, and if that's what you want to use, that's perfect. But I like these because then you have a nice consistent loop. And when you're making this type of chain, that actually is the best way to be, because you're going to be making a lot of loops, and you want them to be pretty similar. Now I'm just going to wrap this wire all the way around, because I want at least if I can do it, 3 loops on either side, and then we're just going to keep tucking until that gets in there pretty tight. So this is the first one. Let's see how, if we have enough wire when we put our beads on, because this is a big bead. I might have probably should, you know what? This 3-inch piece will work great for the smaller ones, but I'm not sure about the bigger. So what I'm going to do is we're going to put this to the side, and I'm going to get 4 inches out to start with for my big ones, because they are much bigger beads. First thing I'm going to do is cut this little tiny sharp notch off the end. Then we're going to measure 4 inches. We'll get 4 inches out, and I'll probably get 3 pieces of 4-inch out. And even if I waste a little wire that way, I know I'm going to have enough. So for the first 3, the biggest one and the next 2, I am going to use 4-inch pieces. And I suspect for the rest of it after that, then I can use the 3-inch pieces like this one I have here. Now, when you're cutting your wire, when you redo it, you'll see when you make your cut, you'll see that this side has this funny little weird sharp spot. That's what I'm always cutting off with that second cut. Because your flush cutters, when you close them, you can see it's nice and flush on this side, but this side has a V inside of it, and that makes that cut. And one side is nice and flat like this. Actually, this one has the notch. You can see it right here. It's pretty sharp. So just cut that little sucker off. And then the other side is nice and flat, and that's what we want it to stay at. So let's again do this. We go about 1 inch up, bend it over, get our bell making pliers in here, go up and around, drop it down, bring it around until it forms this lollipop like shape. We'll hold this here and we'll wrap. Now, like I say, if you get to the point where it's not wanting to wrap because your wire is small, and I just then hold it with one pair of pliers while you wrap with another pair. Now this is small, so I'm just going to ease it around with my pliers. Until I get it in place, and then we will tuck it very carefully into place so that it is not sticking out here. Now that we've got that done, we'll put our beads on, and then we will do the other side. So the beads on this side, because this is the main focal, is going to be this bigger crystal. One of these little bead caps. And this bead cap will face inwards because this is going over the big pearl. Now we're going to go for our largest pearl. Put the pearl on. Put another bead cap on. My goodness, I think I'm going to dump them out of the tray onto the, because they just want to stick in the tray. Come on, baby, go on there. And then we want to put on our second crystal. And as you can see, this is going to be our main focal piece of our bracelet. It's going to form right here on your wrist. Now what we want to do is make this other loop on the other side. And as you can see, I probably could have done with about a ½ inch less, but that's all right. I'd rather have too much than not enough, and that is why I switched to a 4-inch piece. So let's bend this over, making sure you're going the same direction as your other side. Get in your pliers, do your wraps, bring her around, and then you can wrap it. Now you can wrap it by leaving it on the pliers if that's easier for you, or you can take it off and use 2 pair of regular pliers. To me, it's sort of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Now, cut this off. Try and get your finger close so that when the piece flies, because they frequently will, that they're going to bump your finger instead of going flying through the air. Now, if these are not face to face, you can always turn these right now, but these are looking good. A little bit off. There we go. So now here is our main piece done. So now we'll grab our second one and we'll go into the next beads. Now you'll find that even though I have this straight right now, when we get to the end, we're probably going to want to bow it some so that it would match your wrist a little better. Right now we're not going to worry about that yet though. So anyway, we'll start with our second. And the long and the short of this is a big series of links made with wrapped loops. Now, because we're putting these together, instead of wrapping this now, we hook it on to our chain piece. Now we will need to hold it with our pliers because we have got this other piece in here. And now we wrap just like we would have before. And when you're cutting your extra piece off, remember that you want the flat side of your cutter, your flush cutters, near your wires so that it gives you that flush cut rather than that sharp one that I showed you earlier. Let's get these nice and straight. As you can see, they are straight to each other now. Now we're going to do the pattern that we had with the necklace, which is, now we have the big one, but we're going to go to this one. So instead of putting a crystal on either side like we did with this, it will only go on to one side. Now this one is up here, but that's because this is going upwards, up your chest, so that this is the upward facing one. We're going to do the opposite way with the bracelet because it's going to come around from here. So we'll want the crystal at the top as opposed to going down. So we'll put the crystal on first. Then this little piece, our bead, and another of these. That looks like there's multiples on that one, so we will switch it to something else and then I'll have to get those apart from each other. Okay, now that we've got this piece done, we will do the wrap on this side and then we'll switch it back over to this side to work. So let's get this wrap made and then we'll switch to the other side. Now on the second side, of course, you can just go straight to wrapping. And I have made this a little too loose. You see how the links are a little loose here? So we're going to tighten those up. And in order to tighten them, what we're going to do is just put our pliers in here along that loop and then put it in the loop and pull up. Do the same on the other side. Now you can only do this if you've noticed you have that problem prior to getting all the wraps on, because once all the wraps are on, you cannot get your pliers in there to do that trick. So let's get this finished wrapping. Then we'll cut this off, being careful not to cut your loop, because that's a really easy thing to do. So just pay attention to where you've got your cutters at. Tuck this in. And now make sure that they're going the same direction. See, this is way different direction. So just take hold of it with both sides and twist. And there we are. So now we have the first little bit done. It goes from here to here. And now we'll do the other side before we get into the small beads. So let's do this. Bend our wire out right here. Go in with our pliers, over and around, bring it down, around, make sure you have that lollipop shape. See there? Now we're going to snap it onto the other side, because we are making the other side like this side. So now that we have these in, hold it with our pliers and make our loops. 1, and you can count your loops to see how you're doing. I'm right hand dominant, so I tend to try and hold things with my left so that I can actually work with my right. If the other way works better for you, with holding it with your left and, with your right hand and wrapping with your left, that's fine. Okay, now that I have that in, we will put the crystal and this big pearl. On you go. Now when I did the other ones, I wasn't really paying attention to the way my loops were going, but I am going to do it with this one so I can see it's going this way. So we want to do our bend this direction. So over we go. Put in our pliers, go all the way around, drop, come over, and now we have our lollipop again. I'm going to just leave these in here to do this wrap though. 1, now I will admit that when I make a loose wrap, it's generally because I have left those in instead of holding the one side with my plier. But okay, now we're all tucked in. And we are facing pretty much the same direction. And now this is going to go over your arm like this. Now we're going to put in the small pearls, which will go across the back. And I suspect I probably will need all 4 of these to come down, but probably no more than that. So now we need some 3-inch wire. We already have one piece done here, but I didn't attach it into anything. So that will probably be one of our last ones. So let's cut 3 more pieces of 3-inch wire. and then we will start wrapping these small ones. So we've got the wire back out. I've already cut that little notch off, but we need 3 pieces of 3-inch. One, two, and 3. We'll put our wire aside. And now we're going to look at these and see which side is got the little sharp end on it. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see this or not. Let's see if I can get it up so in a way that you can, it'll focus so that you can see that really sharp little edge right there. And that's what we're going to cut off. So let's just get in there really, really close and just cut that little bit off. This one doesn't have a sharp end. I had already cut it off, but this one is on this side. So there we have our 3 pieces of wire. So now we're going to start by putting them on to our bracelet here by doing our bends at about 1 inch. Bend it over. Get our pliers out. Come up and around. And like this. There's our lollipop. And now we'll snap it onto here. Hold this and do our wraps. Sorry about that. You'll find that I think the most experienced jewelry designers and makers do that with the beads slipping off. And that's because we're trying to get the very end so that we aren't playing with a lot of the wire, and we just get it a little too close to the end, and then it just sort of snaps off of the edge. That's that one that had 3. I wanted to set that aside. And that one has 2 together. Okay, there we go. Okay, now we've got this much bracelet done, and we're going to get this bent over and make the lollipop shape. Now, since I'm fairly positive we're going to need 2 on either side, I am going to snap this other piece into place since I already have it formed. Then we're going to do the wraps on this other side. Cut this baby off and tuck her in. Okay, now we're going to go over to the other side and work on this side. So we get our wire out again. Bend her over. Pliers out, over and around. Bring her up and snap her onto place. Get hold of it. And pull her around. Tuck her up into place. And now we'll put our pearls and our crystal on. This one could pull up just a little bit there. There we go. And now see how I have got this bent here? I don't want that, so we're going to straighten that up just like that. Here we go. And now we'll put our crystal and our pearl on this side. Now this is not even. There we go. Now, so we have 2 of our small pearls on, and let's see where this is falling us on our wrist. As you can see, it's going right here, so we have plenty of room for the next 2, but I don't think we'd have room for 4, as I suspected. So let's go over to this one that we've already got on here, and let's put on our second small pearl on this side. Now, because I think this will be the last one, we have 2 options right here. We could get some chain and just hook it on right here, or we can use some jump rings to put on our chain and our lobster claw. And I think I'm probably going to use the jump rings. So we'll just close this baby off like we would if we were just doing a regular one. And finish these wraps. Clip this baby off. And tuck her in. Now I got these wraps a little loose, but that's all right because since this isn't, I'm not worried about breaking this bottom bead. What I did is I just squished this one up into place so that it squished up the extra room. Now you do have to be careful of that to a degree because this one is glass over here and I don't want to break it. So anyway, there is 2 on this side. This looks like it's crooked, so we'll straighten it for right now. We will probably be bending these wires to a degree so that they'll form around your arm a little better when we're finished getting everything on here. So let's get our loop put on this side. So tuck her in. Okay. Now let's see where it falls on our wrist. And as you can see, it's right there. So this is as much as we're going to get. And now the next step before I go on to putting my jump rings on and my lobster claw on is we're going to form this a little bit. So take this where it's on your wrist and push it down a little bit so it makes this little, bend there. And we're going to do the same with the others as well. So this is going this way. Get this where this goes. Bend it just a little. Go to the other side. It's bending this way. We want to make sure we're bending it in the proper way now. Bend it a little bit here. And let's see how it looks now. As you can see, now it conforms a little bit better to your wrist. And if you need to conform it some more, just keep pushing till you get it the way you want it. And the smaller ones shouldn't actually need to, because they're going to be looser as they come around. So this is what we're talking about here. It's going to form to this way. This one will form this direction. This one will form this direction. And these are smaller, so you don't need to worry about them so much, but you probably want to form them a teeny tiny bit. And now we just need to put the lobster claw on and some chain. So in order to put this on, I have got a small oval jump ring, a large oval jump ring, which is what the bracelet is going to hook onto, and a lobster claw. So we'll just open these jump rings up and put them on. So I'm going to put the big one on first. Now, if you felt that you might need more chain, more sizing here, you could put some chain here on this side to give you some more links to link onto, and then it would give more room in your bracelet. So I'm going to just hook on this bottom loop and then onto the lobster claw here. And this is a swivel lobster claw, so it will turn if you need it to. And there we go. Our bracelet is finished. So just hook it to the big hook here. And that's what she's going to look like. So when she's on, she will look like, oops, she's not sitting properly here. Got to make sure our loops are not twisted up, which they were right there. And then they will loop around your wrist and hook on the back. And it will look like this. I haven't hooked it, so I have trouble hooking these this type of bracelet when I'm one-handed, but I probably can get it. Let's see. Come on, baby. As I said, trouble getting these to hook. There we go. So there she is. And that's what she looks like. Now, we'll take her back off. And so there is what our bracelet looks like to match our earrings and necklace. I hope you like this, and we will turn up and go on from. So anyway, there is our bracelet to match our necklace and our earrings. And here is the necklace. So as you can see, there's the necklace, there's the bracelet, and then the earrings are a pretty long dangle. Let's see if I can get those for you. And there is the earrings. So there's a full set of pearl with bracelet, earrings, and a Y-style necklace. So I hope you liked this little tutorial on how to make the bracelet. And this has been Rose from Rose's Garden, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.